this new year off by recording and editing the 60th video since the pandemic began back in March, and since I began as interim pastor at Holy Communion. Who would have thought that we would be doing things like this last year on New Year's Day? I'm going to do a few things different this year with regard to making the videos. For each particular coming Sunday, I'll be recording the video early in the week and actually using the video each week to highlight the text for my sermon the coming week, and that video will also be used for our Tuesday evening Bible study. So in essence, I'm going to be working a little bit earlier in the week each week. But I thought I'd kick off today's video with a little bit of information. Since we're in a new year, we began a new church year back in December with the first Sunday of Advent, but I thought I'd share a few things about our upcoming liturgical year. For instance, this coming Sunday, even though it's January 3rd, Epiphany Day is January 6th on Wednesday, but I'm going to be using the lectionary readings for Epiphany Day for this coming Sunday, and I'll go into a little bit of detail about that toward the end of the video. But I wanted to highlight some of the dates that we need to keep in mind as it pertains to our liturgical calendar this year. And of course, everything revolves around the date of Easter. And by the way, the date of Easter is determined whenever spring starts, whenever the vernal equinox is. Usually it's sometime around March the 21st. Go to your almanac and look for the very next full moon after the vernal equinox. And when you find that full moon, then Easter will be the very next Sunday. So for instance, this year, the full moon after the vernal equinox is on March the 28th. Therefore, that makes Easter Sunday this year, it will be April the 4th. So you count back your 40 days of Lent, which actually there's 45 days between Ash Wednesday and Easter Sunday. But Lent begins this year on Ash Wednesday on February the 17th. That will make Palm Sunday will be March the 28th. Maundy Thursday will be on April the 1st, April Fool's Day. Good Friday will be April 2nd. And of course, Easter Sunday is April the 4th. The Sunday of the, the date of the Ascension, which is on a Thursday, is also 45 days after Easter. It's actually 46, but it's relatively close, so I'm going to say 45, so that'll match up with Lent. So in a sense, from Ash Wednesday until the Ascension, you have about a quarter of the year, 90 days. But the Ascension this year is on May the 13th, which would make Pentecost Day. It would be Sunday, May the 23rd. The Sunday of the Holy Trinity would be May the 30th. The next big event for those of us who are Lutherans, particularly Reformation Sunday this year, we always celebrate it on the 4th Sunday of October, but this year Reformation Day is on the October 31st. I said Reformation Sunday is the 4th. It's actually the last Sunday of October. But this year, the last Sunday of October is Reformation Day, October the 31st. And of course, for a little fun, Christmas is on the 25th of December this year. Ha. Actually, there is a little bit of information around the dating of Christmas. Christmas hasn't always been celebrated on December 25th. It was only when the Gregorian calendar was updated in the latter part of the 16th century, about 1570s, when the most of Europe started using the Gregorian calendar as opposed to the Julian calendar that had been used before. The British Irish actually did not begin using the Gregorian calendar until the middle part of the 18th century, in the 1750s. Therefore, when the Scotch-Irish colonists came to the United States, what would become the United States, and settled in southern Appalachian highlands, they celebrated, they called it Old Christmas, which was actually a celebration of what we call Epiphany Day on January the 6th. So that brings us to Epiphany Day, Epiphany Day, which is the 6th of January. We're going to be celebrating it this coming Sunday, January 3rd. And that story is the story of the Magi who come bearing gifts to the Christ child. When we were putting together our Christmas pageant this year, I did a Bible study, and you can, you can go back to that video and look at some of the highlights as the way the gospel writers each portray Christmas a little bit differently. Remembering Mark, none at all. John, his story of Christmas is summarized and encapsulated in one verse, and the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us. Luke's gospel sort of follows Mary's journey, beginning with the angel coming to Mary after there is a rather lengthy genealogy there at the beginning of Luke. But then it follows the story of Mary with the angel coming to her with her visit to Elizabeth, and of course before the visit to Elizabeth there's the whole story of how the angel also came to Zechariah announcing that he and Elizabeth would have a son named John the Baptist. And of course finally we hear the story of the birth in Bethlehem, with the angels appearing to the shepherds out in the field, with Mary and Joseph journeying to Bethlehem where there's no room in the inn. And finally, after our Lord's birth, Jesus is taken into the temple for dedication and circumcision, and there he meets Anna the prophetess and Simeon, who's been waiting all of his life, had been told that he would die before his death, he would see the Messiah. Matthew's Gospel, which is where the story of Epiphany Day occurs, it outlines how the angel came to Joseph, telling him not to divorce Mary quietly, but to take her as his wife. They end up in Bethlehem, where the child is born. But there's also the story of the Magi coming attracted by the star in the east, and they follow it. They initially come to Jerusalem, where they meet the king there, Herod, and inquire of him where the new king has been born. Herod in turn refers to the religious authorities to find out where the Messiah was to be born, and they tell him Bethlehem. Herod tells the Magi, when you find the babe, let me know, and I too will come and worship him. Of course, he has very vile plans. Instead of wanting to worship the new Messiah, the new king, he actually wants to put that king to death. And we have this horrible story of the slaughter of the innocents. It's celebrated on December the 28th. It's how Herod sent troops into Bethlehem to kill all the young boys under the age of 2. Of course, Joseph had a dream prior to Herod sending troops into Jerusalem, and in that dream he was warned, and he took the babe and his mother down to Egypt. And the Magi never returned to let Herod know. They too were warned in a dream by the angel. It's a really interesting story. It also tells there that when the Magi came to visit the child, that they visited the family in a home, in a house. So Matthew and Luke, they tell a similar story, but with a little different nuance. And so we'll get into a little bit more of that. You'll have to check in with us at our parking lot worship this coming Sunday, January the 3rd at Holy Communion. and I hope you'll join us for worship there. And I hope you'll continue to watch these videos. I'm hoping to make some technical improvements over the next week or so. Perhaps you'll notice that. I've got some new equipment coming, and I hope you have a very blessed new year and a great day today. And stay safe.